All right, so are you ready to dive in today? Because we're talking all about this fascinating woman, Marynês Pereira.
Oh, yeah.
She is an expert, like in so many things, neuroscience, quantum physics, positive psychology, and for over 40 years, she's been like helping people be the best they can be, in their careers and businesses.
Yeah.
But one of the things that really stood out to me in her work is this whole idea of paralysis.
Hmm.
You ever felt that, like that feeling of being stuck, overwhelmed, like you're just spinning your
Oh,
wheels?
totally. Like you're working so hard, but getting nowhere.
Exactly. And today, we're going to unpack that feeling, understand what causes it, but more importantly, give you some actual tools to break free.
Yeah, because who wants to stay stuck, right?
Nobody wants to be paralyzed.
And it's so common, especially I've noticed for people who are really ambitious.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they're driven, they have these goals, but then they hit this wall and it's like, poof, their energy's gone. They start to question everything.
Oh, yeah, I can see that happening. It's like
Yeah.
the more frustrated you get, the harder it is to see a way out.
Yeah, exactly. And what Pereira says is it's not just burnout or stress, although those are definitely part of it.
Yeah.
It's also these, what she calls imaginary enemies.
Imaginary enemies. Okay, now I have to know more about this.
Mhm.
What are they, and how do they sabotage us?
Well, think about how often we compare ourselves to others, right? You see their successes on social media, hear about their achievements, and we start feeling like we don't measure up.
Right.
We create this picture of success in our heads based on what we see out there, forgetting that everyone's journey is different.
Oh, 100%. It's like we're comparing our chapter 2 to their chapter 20.
Yes, exactly. And when we compare ourselves without considering, different backgrounds, advantages, challenges, we're setting ourselves up to be disappointed.
Right, because it's not a fair comparison.
Not at all. It's like fighting an enemy that doesn't even exist, and that's where the
Yeah.
paralysis sets in.
So it's not just about being ambitious. It's about being mindful of those comparisons.
Right. Recognizing that everyone's path is different.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But even if we know the enemy is imaginary, it doesn't magically disappear,
Yeah.
right? So how do we break free from this trap?
Pereira really believes in personal responsibility, taking ownership of our situation. She's got this 3-step process.
Okay, lay it on me.
I'm ready. So the first step is honestly analyzing your actions. Take a hard look at your choices, your behaviors, everything good, bad, and ugly.
So self-reflection is key.
It is. Ask yourself what's working, what's not, and why.
Got it. What's the next step?
This is a big one. Seek perspective from neutral parties.
Okay.
Talk to people you trust, mentors, friends, colleagues who can give honest feedback.
I like that because sometimes it's so hard to see clearly when you're in the middle of it.
Exactly. Helps you see those blind spots, understand your strengths and weaknesses.
Makes sense. So we've analyzed our actions, gotten some outside perspective. What's the final step?
Now you create a plan of action, a realistic plan based on what you've learned about yourself and the feedback you've received.
Okay, so turning that self-awareness into concrete steps. But even with a plan, sometimes the hardest part is just starting.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And you know what? Pereira sees this a lot. People struggling to take that first step, especially when it comes to asking for help.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like we're taught to be self-reliant, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right. And there's value in that.
Oh, absolutely.
There's also strength in knowing when to ask for help.
Huge strength. And Pereira really emphasizes that it's not a weakness, it's a sign of self-awareness.
That's interesting. Why do you think she sees it that way?
Because when you ask for help, you're admitting that you don't have all the answers, and that takes courage.
Yeah, it does. It takes humility too.
Exactly. And it shows you're willing to learn and grow, to tap into the wisdom of others.
It's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone.
Yeah.
If you want to go far, go together.
Yes, exactly. And Pereira, she takes it a step further. She talks about focusing on the 80% who are positive and supportive rather than the 20% who are negative.
Oh, the 80-20 principle.
Yeah.
I've heard that in business, but never thought about it for personal growth. How does that work?
It's about choosing where you focus your energy. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, inspire you.
It's like creating a positive feedback loop.
Exactly. And remember, Pereira's expertise isn't just psychology, it's neuroscience, quantum physics, all of it.
We've been mentioning those fields, but how do they actually help us overcome this paralysis?
Okay, so neuroscience helps us understand how our brains work, how our thoughts, emotions, experiences actually shape our behavior.
So like a user manual for the brain.
Kind of. And then quantum physics.
That one's always felt a bit mysterious to me.
Yeah, but it's fascinating. It helps us understand the interconnectedness of everything, how our thoughts can actually influence our reality.
Whoa, okay. That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. It challenges the idea that we're separate from our environment. We have more power than we realize.
So it's not just about changing our thoughts, it's about understanding they have a real impact.
Exactly. And then positive psychology gives us practical tools to cultivate positive emotions, build resilience, find meaning.
So it's this blend of understanding the brain, recognizing our own power, and having the tools to make positive change.
Exactly. And Pereira says true happiness and success aren't about ignoring the negative.
Yeah.
It's about developing the resilience to navigate those challenges and turn them into opportunities.
So embracing the journey, knowing there will be ups and downs.
Yes, and trusting that we have the strength to handle it. And a big part of that strength comes from asking for help when we need it.
And surrounding ourselves with supportive people.
Absolutely. And remember, Pereira says we have the power to choose our response to every situation.
So we can let setbacks define us, or we can learn from them and come back stronger.
Exactly. It's a growth mindset. Seeing challenges as opportunities.
That's like that quote by Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
I never lose, I either win or learn.
Yes, exactly. And Pereira's work gives us the tools to actually live that philosophy, to see the world as a classroom.
That takes the pressure off needing to be perfect.
It does. It allows us to focus on growing and improving.
And it reminds us that even amidst chaos, we have the ability to choose our response, to cultivate resilience, to find meaning.
And Pereira, she's a true advocate for that. She's seen firsthand the power of this approach and helped so many people unlock their potential.
It's inspiring to hear about someone so dedicated to empowering others. It's so easy to get caught up in just learning about these things.
Right.
But the real magic happens when we put it into action.
Absolutely. Pereira always says knowledge without action, it's like a seed that never gets planted.
Okay, so for someone listening right now, feeling stuck, feeling paralyzed, what's that first step they can take?
Pereira says start small.
Okay.
Don't try to change everything at once. Just pick one tiny thing you can do today to move towards your goals.
I love that. What kind of small steps are we talking about?
It could be anything. Really simple, like call a mentor for advice.
Okay.
Take 15 minutes to plan your week. Even just turn a negative thought into a positive one.
So it's about making those big goals feel less overwhelming.
Exactly. Break them down into bite-sized pieces you can actually handle.
And each step you take builds your confidence.
Right. It's like a positive feedback loop.
I like that.
Yeah.
And what about failure? Because let's face it, we're all going to mess up sometime.
Oh, for sure. Pereira talks about that. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about learning to bounce back.
So resilience is key.
Absolutely. You have to have the courage to try to fail and to get back up again stronger.
And that's where that growth mindset comes in, right? Seeing challenges as opportunities for learning.
Exactly. It's what separates the people who succeed from the people who give up.
As we've been talking about Pereira, I can't help but think about stoicism.
Oh, yeah.
That whole idea of focusing on what we can control.
Right. Our thoughts, our actions.
And letting go of what we can't.
Exactly. It's so powerful, especially in today's world. When we feel overwhelmed, it's often because we're trying to control things that are totally out of our hands.
And Pereira reminds us to focus on what we can influence.
Exactly. And to remember that we don't have to do this alone.
Right? She's dedicated her life to helping people, and her work shows the power of connection and support.
It really does.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the world of Marynês Pereira.
Great conversation.
But before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought. What is one small step you can take today to break free from that feeling of paralysis and move closer to your goals? Don't overthink it. Just take action. And remember, like Marynês Pereira says, every journey begins with a single step.
So true.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep unlocking your potential.